Using a Harbor Freight Chain Saw Sharpener. William Hovey Smith, 2016. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting and also the owner of a new company, Hovey's Knives of China. Now, in both of these uses, we use chainsaws to cut wood to both clean up our yard and make charcoal for our forge.
This is Hovey Smith with Hovey's Outdoor Adventures. Today we are having adventures in chainsaw blade sharpening. Now, this formidable looking chainsaw on the bench behind me is a saw that's particularly useful in the southern U.S. and seldom seen outside of it. It's a large bow saw, and it was originally designed for use when they were cutting pulpwood timber by hand, and this large bow was designed so that the limb was lying on the ground, or the tree was lying on the ground, typically a 6-inch pulpwood log, and you would just put the bow down and cut it straight down. Now, you can also cut with this saw by holding it horizontal. Now, this is a big, heavy saw. I came by it because a fella had bought it for his father, and it was too heavy for his father to actually use. The saw itself weighs about 40 pounds. It's a pretty powerful saw, and it has a long blade for a long cutting period. Now, I live in the middle of nowhere, and I don't have access to chainsaw shops and all that kind of stuff handily at all. So for years I was saving up my blades and taking them up to distant places and having them sharpened and bringing them back. And so ultimately I broke down and bought this little sharpening device, which we have very recently installed on our brand new workbench, and we have proceeded to sharpen up some blades as practice. Yep, I took about 8 of my old blades from various saws and put them on the bench and sharpened them up, so I sort of have a better idea how it was done. This is a pretty formidable looking thing, but in actuality it works very, very well. And I'll bring up the camera closer so you can see exactly how to adjust it.
I have another video showing how you can mount tools like this that you only use occasionally on your workbench and take them off again. Mounting detachable tools on workbenches. William Hovey Smith, 2016.
We're getting it up close indeed so you can see what's going on. This so-called vise here is mobile, and so you can move it here to set the angle. Now, determining the angle can be done various ways. In some cases it's actually maybe printed on the chainsaw somewhere or with the chain or something like that to tell you what this angle is. This is graduated in degrees, but this angle here, or this cutting blade here, is set, so you do not change this angle at all. Just as an expedient adjustment to setting the angle right for your particular chain, you take the chain at its first sharpening, and you take this and you parallel the sharpening edge with your cutter. This angle is set, so you don't change that, but you do change the position in this way, so you get these two surfaces exactly parallel. Then you just turn on the saw on the switch up here at the top. This clamps it right here. And that sharpens your blade. Then you go until you find the next blade, just parallel in that position. There are two particular set of adjustments. This adjustment here allows you to put this block behind this cutting blade. So then when you come down and apply pressure, this clamps in this direction and holds it, and you get an absolutely uniform cut from blade to blade. So instead of having to judge it by eye with each cut, this allows you to get a mechanical stop and makes it much more uniform in the sharpening. There's also an adjustment here. On the back there's a knob, as you see, and this adjusts the depth of the cut so you don't actually bring the blade down and cut the lengths themselves after you've sharpened it. So this is your stop. Covers the penetration depth of this blade, which will be changed because this blade does, of course, slowly wear down. Now that we have all our chainsaw accessories attached, we have the blade on, we have the guards back on, and you can give it a manual check this way, just to make sure that your blade is in the guides and everything is copacetic here, and it is. So this should run and cut without any problems at all now. And we're going to take it out in the woods and see if we did any good with the sharpening. If you don't like getting your hands dirty and greasy and don't like the tactile feel of grease and sawdust and stuff, well, this may not be the job for you, because this is a wet, sloppy job. You notice I have this piece of plywood down here at the bottom just to protect my workbench a little bit, so this I can knock off. And so now this is going to go down on the concrete floor, and all these guards are good and firm. So yeah, we're ready to go out and cut some wood. Well, you never know if a chainsaw is sharp until you actually test it. Well, as you see, we have a suitable log out here. I need to cut a section of that to actually mark a grave. So we just buried Casey today. So I'm going to use a section of that to put over her grave. In the meantime, we'll see if it will cut. Well, chainsaw cut up the first section of log pretty handily. And we've got another section of log drug up out of our cemetery plot, and we'll see how it handles it. Well, cut through those very, very nicely, very quickly. Gave nice, good, big chips. Here is Casey as a young dog, but old age was not kind to her. She had cancers of several different types, including a very loathsome skin cancer with ulcerating open sores, and flies and insects were bothering her terribly. She couldn't hardly move, so it was just time to put the old dog down. And here's how we buried her in our doggy cemetery, and here's the log I cut, and we put on top of it, and the inscription reads, Casey, Retriever, Companion, Loved.
Now, I am the author of a series of outdoor books. Notably among these is Backyard Deer Hunting, Crossbow Hunting, Extreme Muzzleloading, and Practical Bow Fishing. And all of these are very thorough treatments of their subject and take an introductory person through the entire sport. I'm also the author of a new series of business books under the Profit brand. The first of these is Ideas for New Businesses, on how to find ideas for your own million or billion-dollar business. And here's a little blurb about me and about what I do. Now, the only regret about this chainsaw sharpener was I didn't get it years ago. Yeah, it really worked, and I should have done it. For more information on Hovey's Knives of China, you can go to the website below. For information on my books, blogs, and more than 525 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.